Hey, how's it going, all you motivated top 10ers? I'm Landon. I'm so glad you guys came back. It's time to have a little fun in this video, but for a lot of these people on the list, life is not so fun because they won the lottery and then they got broke. So let me ask you guys, if you won $1 million, what is the first thing you would buy, or are you a saver? Okay, so the odds of winning the lottery are very slim. So when people actually win, they tend to spend their earnings unwisely. For these next 10 people, you'll know what I mean. This is the top 10 lottery winners that went broke. Starting off this list, like we always do, in at number 10, we have Andrew Jackson Whitaker Jr. In 2002, Andrew walked away with $114 million after taxes on a $315 million multi-state Powerball draw. He was very foolish and careless with his money because in two separate incidents, thieves were able to run off with $750,000 that he left stashed in his car. What? Later on, he was sued by Caesars Atlantic City for allegedly bouncing a $1.5 million checks to cover his gambling losses. Within 4 years, his fortune was gone. It only goes downhill from there, and that's because in at number 9 we have Callie Rogers. Back in 2003, Callie Rogers was 16 years old, living with her foster parents in the UK, and she worked as a sales clerk. When she decided to buy a lottery ticket, Callie won a whopping $3 million in the national lottery, and she vowed to live a frugal life. Well, that was short-lived because she ended up buying 4 large houses, several new cars, 2 breast augmentations, and the spending didn't stop there. She would often buy expensive gifts for her multiple boyfriends, which even included an expensive car. I should be dating this person. But the one thing that ultimately led her to become broke was her addiction to cocaine. She estimated that she would spend £250,000 British pounds on drugs. After the dust settled, she sold the home she owned, got rid of her cars, and rented a townhouse. She was left with about $64,000, and now she has to get a job. She works as a maid. Ironic or what? Continuing this list, in at number 8, we're talking about Sharon Terabassi. Before her big win, she was a single mother who had been on welfare. Well, she cashed in a check from the Ontario Lottery Corporation for $10 million. She spent her winnings on a big house, fancy car, designer clothes, lavish parties, exotic trips, handouts to family, and loans to friends. In less than a decade, she went back to working part-time, living in a rented house, and riding the school bus. $10 million should have been enough to live on comfortably for many years, for the rest of your life perhaps. She should have invested her money wisely, and she should have gained some serious interest. I think she needs a brown guy in her life to help her on her finances. Alright, up next, in at lucky 7, we have Michael Carroll. In 2002, Michael Carroll won the UK's national lottery, which netted him about 15 million British pounds. So Michael purchased and then destroyed a mansion, threw a lavish party for friends, and had a daily habit of smoking 3,000 British pounds worth of crack cocaine. He also bought very expensive cars and then he wrecked them on a self-made racetrack which circled the grounds of his mansion. He also used a lot of his money on prostitutes and gold jewelry. Eventually, Michael was forced to sell his mansion at a loss, and he stated that his cocaine dealer has more of his lottery money than he does. What's with people resorting to cocaine when they win the lottery? This is a very addictive drug. If you do drugs, this is like the one drug to avoid. Number 6 takes us to William Post. From an earlier age, his life had not been easy. His mother died when he was 8 years old, and his father sent him to an orphanage. As he grew older, he became a carnival worker and held down a series of odd jobs with little pay. But that all changed in 1998. He pawned a ring for $40 and spent that money on the Pennsylvania lottery ticket. Best investment of his life. He ended up walking away with $16.2 million. You would think that his luck had changed, right? Wrong. You're wrong. Because we're talking about the top 10 people who went broke. So let's listen to what happened. His girlfriend demanded 1/3 of his earnings, and to top that off, his brother hired a hitman to kill him, but only after William purchased businesses and cars for him. William also went on to buy an airplane that he couldn't fly and a mansion that was eventually sold because of his debts. To clear his other debts, he sold the rights to the remaining of his lottery payments, but he ended up spending his last $2.65 million on 2 homes, several motorcycles, 3 cars, a truck, and a sailboat. He had 7 marriages and claimed that he was much happier when he was actually broke. So maybe for him, this is a good thing. Jeanette Lee makes this list in at number 5. In 1993, she purchased a lottery ticket and won a remarkable $18 million. The 52-year-old South Korean immigrant gave much of her earnings to charity. She did manage to buy herself a $1 million home, and her main focus was to help others. She opted for an annual salary of $620,000 a year instead of a lump sum. She would make sizable donations to private schools, and she would also donate hundreds of thousands to presidential political campaigns. So she didn't eventually buy that $1 million house. Instead, she purchased the house on a payment schedule. So in addition to her mortgage payments with high interest, she leased luxury cars and borrowed millions more from the bank and credit cards. She ended up putting herself deeper in debt, owing $750,000 in penalties. By 2001, she had sold the rights to her future lottery payments and filed for bankruptcy. She was $2.5 million in debt. She did the right thing by not taking the lump sum by getting more money over time of period, but she didn't do all that good. And at number 4, let's talk about Willie Hurt. Willie was a family man living in the United States where he won the 1989 lottery jackpot, which was about $3.1 million. By the time he received just 2 of the $156,000 annual installments of his lottery win, he was in the process of a divorce and he had lost custody of his children. Just like other lottery winners, Willie spent most of his money on, you guessed it, crack cocaine. After a 48-hour binge on booze and drugs, Willie allegedly argued with his girlfriend when he couldn't find any more cocaine. She was later found shot in the head and Willie was charged with the murder, and if convicted, he would spend the rest of his life behind bars, so never mind money. And at number 3, we have Lew Eisenberg. On Friday the 13th, in 1981, he won $5 million in the New York lottery, which was the largest payout at the time. He accepted the $219,000 annual installments after he paid $130,000 in taxes for the next 20 years. He spent his money on lavish trips to foreign countries, he treated his friends and family to 5-star restaurants frequently, and he shared his winnings with 2 of his 3 wives, and he helped whoever he could. In 2001, when he received his final lottery check, he was flat broke. Okay, we're almost at the top of this list, but now at number 2, we're talking about Alex Toth. One day in 1990, Alex bought a winning $13 million lottery ticket. This came at a good time because his family, which included a wife and 6 children, had less than $25 to live on. So Alex insisted that the money wouldn't change their lives. Well, he was very wrong, and Alex and his wife spent 3 months living in a $1,000 a night hotel room in Las Vegas. They gambled, dined, shopped, and bought tickets to expensive live shows. When they were done with Vegas, they returned to Florida and bought 10 acres of land, and then they settled in with their children. Shortly after that, they found themselves in financial trouble. They were overspending. They filed for bankruptcy twice and were convicted of filing 3 years of fraudulent tax returns. The IRS said that they falsely reported gambling losses to offset their lottery winnings, and now they owe millions in back taxes. Alright, so we made it into number 1 spot for foolish people with money. Well, coming into this list, in at number 1, let's talk about Gerald Muswagon. He experienced the high of becoming a multi-millionaire after winning the $10 million jackpot when he bought a ticket for only $2. Immediately after his win, he went on a shopping spree where he purchased cars for his family and friends. He bought a new house and then he turned it into a party pad, in which he also bought 8 brand new big TV screens just cuz. Eventually, he ended up spending all of his money and he took a minimum wage job to support his 6 children. Tragically, just 7 years after his big win, he took his own life because he just couldn't deal with his debt. The money just became too much for him. Well, there you guys have it. That was the top 10 people that became broke after winning the lottery. Very tragic. When you win the lottery, you should definitely have like a financial person in place to help you out to finance your money, because it can become very stressful. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you all in the next one. So let me know what top 10 videos you guys would like to see next in the comment section below. We'll read it and we'll do it for you guys. And if you want to continue watching videos because maybe you've missed a few of them, you guys can look right over here. You guys can actually click it. If you're on a mobile phone, you can't click it. You're like, oh god damn, what's going on? Look in the description below. You can see the links to the previous videos and you guys can actually click on that. We hooked you guys up. So that's it for me. I'll see you in the next one. I gotta get to the next video. Bye.